right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Poetry Tea Time with Read Poetry. Poetry Tea Time is a new venture from the team at Andrews McMeel Publishing with the goal of getting to know the creators that help make up AMP's innovative and best-selling lineup of poets by hosting some of them in conversation with their editors to talk about a variety of things, such as writing tips, inspiration, and the creative process, and of course, allowing our readers to hear their favorite poets read their work. My name is Danys Mares, and I'm an editorial assistant here at Andrews McMeel Publishing. And I'm excited and honored to be the first host of Poetry Tea Time with Read Poetry, and even more excited about our first ever author spotlight, Ebonee Davis. Ebonee was my first ever acquisition here at Andrews McMeel in the spring of 2022. So it's been a very personal journey to see this beautiful book come to life. Here it is, and to see Ebonee add author to her already impressive list of accolades. Ebonee's debut publication, Daughter, Soul Journey of a Black Woman in America Having a Human Experience, is a memoir-style collection of poems and essays that form the narrative of what it looked like for a young Black woman in America to break generational cycles, begin to heal the trauma that lives in all of our bodies, and embark upon the spiritual awakening that changed her life. I'm so excited to jump in and learn more, so please welcome poet, activist, and model, Ebonee Davis. Hi, Ebonee.
Hi,
How are you
so
doing
happy to be
today?
here. I'm doing wonderful. I'm so excited. The book comes out in just a couple of days, and I just know it's going to be a life-changing experience for myself and whoever encounters it. So I'm just excited and ready.
Awesome. I totally agree. I'm so excited to have this out into the world and to hear how people connect with it and hear how they connect with you by way of it.
Agree.
Let's go ahead and just jump in. So for those who may be unfamiliar, can you take a moment to let us know a little bit about yourself, about your journey and your book?
Yes. So my name is Ebonee Davis. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington. At the age of 19, I moved to New York City to pursue a modeling career. It was a tumultuous experience. It was a venture that required a lot out of me. When I got to New York upon my arrival, I faced a lot of rejection. I was entering into an industry where the standards of beauty were very cookie cutter, but I had this dream that I wanted to pursue. And so, in order to get my foot in the door, I really had to compromise on a lot of my authenticity, a lot of my integrity. I had to shed layers of what made me me, and so that I could fit into the mold that was already sort of pre-prescribed in that industry. And then around the age of 24, I began to see this natural hair community forming on Instagram, as you can see from, in
Well,
person
there
and
it is.
on the cover of my book. Obviously, natural hair is a big part of who I am. It's a big part of my journey. I even talk about it in the book, but me making the decision to go natural was like this gateway, this portal into further self-exploration. And I began to ask myself if for 24 years at the time, I believed myself to be inadequate with natural hair, then what other limiting beliefs were determining the trajectory of my life and determining how I moved through the world and what I believed to be true about myself and what I was capable of. And so it really began this internal investigation, and I began to decolonize my mind and reprogram my beliefs about myself to be in alignment with where I wanted to go in life and who I wanted to be, just to walk authentically in my truth. And that really sparked my spiritual journey. It was the catalyst for so much of my healing. It transcended hair, and it went into trauma, it went into family programming, it went into social programming. How was I operating out of alignment with myself because I needed to for my own survival, and how could I reprogram that within myself so that I could not only survive but begin to thrive. And as I was on this journey, I just felt inspired to share what I had learned with other people, because I feel that we all need these these tools. We're all on a spiritual journey. You know, the like subtitle of the book is a soul journey of a Black woman in America having a human experience. I really recognize myself as a soul that is evolving through the lessons that I've learned here on this earth plane. And a lot of us are sort of stuck in our evolution because we don't have the tools. And I really wanted this book to just be the tool that people can look to and reference as they go on their own endeavors and journey of evolution.
That is
Yeah.
beautiful. And all of that is captured so beautifully in this collection, and to see your journey, because it starts pretty in your childhood and goes all the way
Yeah.
up to like present day. So it's a
Right.
really beautiful expression of everything you just said, and it's captured in a really magnetic way. It's really exciting to hear that. Um, so to bounce off of that a little bit, I know you're talking about how you had to kind of shrink yourself a little bit to fit into this mold. That kind of leads into the conversation that a lot of people are having right now, which is around diversity in publishing. And I know for me as an editor, one of my biggest goals is to collaborate with diverse voices, specifically other women of color, because I know how important it is for us to see ourselves reflected in the media that we love. It allows other people to see themselves and to know that they can also participate in the media, because there are other of us here. So can
Yeah.
you speak a little bit on the importance of representation in your work?
Yeah, for sure. I'll just speak a little bit about my journey. Like, you know, as I was writing the book, I was reaching out to different publishers and really trying to express the importance of what I'm writing, because it's not just a Black story, although I really aimed to tell the story from a Black woman's perspective, because I think it's a perspective that's not shared and amplified enough. And it's something that I learned from Toni Morrison, is like, you know, other people can relate and I want other people to tune in, but I'm not going to refine myself to be palatable for other people. I don't think I'm the mainstream because I'm me, like I'm the main character in my life. So I don't need to marginalize myself and center other people in my narrative. And so although the narrative is centered around my experience as a Black woman, this is really truly a universal story. And it's something that anybody can learn from, anybody can use as a blueprint to heal from. And so as I was explaining this to publishers and reaching out, I was just getting no response. I was just getting like, no love in response to what I was writing. And it wasn't until you joined the Andrews McMeel's team that someone actually responded to what I had to say and saw value in it. And I think it's so important. Like when we think about diversity and inclusion, I think we often imagine people in places of visibility as like symbols of inclusion, but it's also so important to have people behind the scenes who are diverse, because those are the people who can create the platforms and give the opportunities to those who are, you know, in the public eye. And so if it wasn't for Andrews McMeel also working to diversify their team behind the scenes, then Daughter might have never seen the light of day. And what's crazy too is that even when I had a publisher, even when you and I were already in conversation around getting this book published, I still couldn't even get a book agent. It's like I already had a deal on the table and I was going to different agents to try to negotiate the contract, and still it's like no one found value in what I had to say. And so I had to go through my modeling agent and have her in conversation with like the legal team at Andrews McMeel to negotiate the contract. But I think again that just speaks to the necessity for diversity in these positions behind the scenes, because it's like there's not anybody there, or there are very few people there who can value the work. And it's like, if I was a different person, if I didn't have the spiritual foundation that I have, I might think that that lack of value is a reflection of my lack of value. I might think that that lack of acknowledgement is a reflection of something that's missing inside of me, but it's not. It's the structure and the way that things are made in this world as it is. So I just hope that this is an industry that continues to diversify, because we deserve our narratives to be heard. heard. And I think when we share our narratives, we can also continue to like dismantle these systems of oppression that have bound us, because it's really like the shame that we hold on to and the guilt that we hold on to, and the belief that we are singular in our experiences that keep us bound to the same patterns. But it's like the more that we share what we've gone through, the more we can see that we are collectively having this experience, and therefore we can create space for collective healing.
Absolutely. I 100% agree that I think we all know that publishing, and like most of the larger industries, are very kind of monolithic. You know, it's one person, and the stories that they find um, that they want to highlight tend to be the ones that they can relate to. And it's important to widen what relating means, you know. And I think that that's something that makes Daughter so special, because like you said, it's, you know, you're speaking from the voice of a Black woman because you are a Black woman, but your story is relatable for all kinds of people, especially growing up in the you know, the same culture that we've all kind of grew up in. So I think that that's a really important and um direction to come from. And I think a lot of people will find relatability and find a way to expand what they think relatability means through your work. So I think that that's really, really important.
I agree. Thank you.
So thank you for sharing. Also, thank you for sharing just your experience within publishing, especially because people think, you know, once you get a book deal, it's all, you know, kind of Dana, but it's
It's
constant.
been a fight. It's been a fight, but
Yeah, you have to be
I
able to
think
advocate for
everything,
yourself.
yeah, it's divine.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had to advocate a lot for myself, but you know, I think like you were placed in the position you were for a reason at the timing that you were placed there. And I think this book is coming out at the perfect time. So I just believe it's all part of a divine process. And hopefully through my own experience, you know, people can see and change and make different choices around who they put in positions of authority to make decisions around whose voices deserve to be heard.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's actually a perfect segue to a conversation about that I really want to have with you about spirituality and healing. That's one of the major themes in your work, and in not only in your book, but also in the work that you do out in the world. And your collection is actually a little bit different in that it's a poetic memoir written in both traditional poetry and poetic prose, which I think is really cool and very unique, and will allow people who may not be like poetry readers to find a way into, you know, this work. And in it, you share a lot about how rediscovering and redefining your spirituality helped prepare you forward in your healing journey. Can you
Yeah.
speak a little bit about that and about how that has affected your process as a writer and a creator?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I never intended to be a writer, and I think that's important to
Mhm.
like note. Like, I wanted to be a model. Like, I wanted to be a supermodel. I wanted to, you know, there's other avenues of like entertainment that I wanted to pursue. I wanted to be an actor, but like writer just wasn't on the list. And I was thinking about this too the other day. Actually, matter of fact, yesterday I was thinking about it, and I was like, there was really a time when I believed that like God didn't give me a talent. Like it's crazy. Like I used to be really like just sad and just like, damn, you know, I'm looking at, you know, my peers and stuff. And I'm like, God, you didn't give me a talent. Like everything that I've done, I've had to work really hard at. Like, you know, even with modeling, it's like there is definitely a level of talent involved, but it's not like, you know, I can't shoot free throws really well. Like I don't have a crazy voice. It wasn't something that I was born with that like outside of anybody else's perception, I am like objectively great at. But I realized like writing is that thing for me.
Mhm.
And that is a realization that came about on my spiritual journey. And it really required me to like unlearn my value around just like what we have been taught as Black people is worthy of accolades. Like I didn't have anybody around me growing up to be like, you're a brilliant writer, like that is your gift, that is what is valuable about you. And there's only so many lanes for Black people when it comes to what we are celebrated for. And so I really had to like strip away my ideas of myself and the ways that I saw my value and the ways that I saw my worth to even be able to put out this book. And that was a big part of my spiritual journey within itself. And as far as like the prose and poetry goes, like I see the world in poem. Like I literally see the world as metaphor. I guess that's another gift, is another talent. I can like look out at the trees and I'm like, this is a representation. Like, for example, I was outside a couple of days ago and I just started crying because I was looking at the trees and the leaves were changing colors. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I wonder if the trees grieve the changes that they go through. And I was like, I relate to that. You know what I mean? Like I literally see the world as poetry. And so for me, the poems like come natural, and I hear natural rhythms when I'm writing. And that's, I think, where the like poetic prose come from. Because it's not something I try to do, but like the world is music to me. Like I can't, like, I don't know. I literally can hear the beats in between the spaces and the words. And, I typically go with the I am over an am because I like the dun-dun of it. I like the cadence. I like the feeling. I like the assertion. Like I like the authority. And I just do that. Like, I don't know. Music is a huge part of who I am. Yeah. Frequency is a huge part of who I am. And so I think that really influences my writing style. And also, like, if I'm being honest, like, I've never been a super avid reader. Like, I've been a consumer of music. I love like poetry, like slam poetry. I think that's the other thing that informs my work too, because it's like the way that I write it's with the intention of being read out loud. Like it's with the intention of having like an audio experience. Mm-hmm. Because I just, like I said, I hear the rhythms, but yeah, I've never really been an avid reader. I've been like a consumer of music and frequency and stuff. And so I think kind of structuring the book in this way will give other people like me the opportunity to digest it without feeling overwhelmed by it. Cause I think that's my thing. Like I prefer an audio book because like when I look just like at a lot of words on a page, like I don't know why, but I get overwhelmed. Like I'm a mover and a shaker. I don't know. I don't really sit, like it's hard for me to sit down and just like get into something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think that really just informed the way that I structured the book.
Yeah, I love that. And I love something that you touched on in the beginning about how you didn't discover this talent until you were much older. And I think that's a really important thing for people to hear as well, because we think that if something doesn't strike us when we're like 12 or 13 and we think that that's, going to be the rest of our lives, that, we still have time to find our talents, to find the things that we're good at, to find the things that we enjoy, and to also, become better, because you can grow into your gifts as well. You can grow into the things that you're good at. And I think that that's, I think you're a really good representation about that. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, I agree.
And for other writers, because we know Read Poetry just brings in all the poets, the people who read the poetry, as well as the people who write it. So I want to go and give a little love to our writers out there. Can you share a little bit of insight into your writing process? Like, what do you do when you're outside and you get the poetry from the trees? Do you sit down and write? Do you record into your phone? Like, what is that process like for you?
Yeah. Well, I've kind of been on this little journey lately of just like making sure that I write every day, first thing in the morning when I wake up. And that really helps me get my like creative mind open and just like get those channels open. Cause I realize as a writer, like I'm just a channel, I get the credit for what is being written, but I promise you it's not originating from me. I'm just a vessel and my mind is open to receiving downloads. Like I'll get a whole stream of consciousness. And like when that happens to me, it'll literally just spin and spin and spin in my mind until I get it written down. So however I can get it written down, I just try to get it written down as quickly as possible, because literally the chatter will just like go on and on and on. And I'll be like, damn, okay. Like, let me just get it out. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm so honored. I'm so honored that I can tap into those downloads, into those frequencies, and have such a high level like conversation with the universe and with God, and whatever spiritual entities are guiding me. Like, I'm so honored that I would be the one chosen for those messages to come through. Like, this entire book was channeled, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so grateful that I could be the vessel and the one to bring it forth. And I give myself a little bit of credit too, because it took a lot of effort, like channeling that level of just like energy into my vessel. Like, it's extremely fatiguing, first of all, and that's the other reason why I just try to get things written down as quickly as possible, because it takes a lot of energy and a lot of focus to be so just like attuned, and to be able to like let that allow that energy to like course through my body, because that's what's happening. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you have a favorite place that you like to write? Some place that like sparks like inspiration for you?
I can write anywhere, but I'll say like when I'm relaxed, that's when I'm able to write best. Like, I get creatively blocked if I'm too busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because my mind is too filled with the like mundane, just like gotta do this, gotta do that tasks. And so it's not creating space for the inspiration and the downloads to come through. So I would say just like when I'm relaxed, like really intentionally creating time for myself, that's when I like to write. There's no particular place. It can happen at any moment, but it's just when I'm in a relaxed state of being.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I write, I know you said you like to write every day in the morning. I'm the opposite. I write every day at night.
My brain stops working at 12 o'clock. I swear. But like,
and honestly, I think that that's what helps me write, because my brain is off. And so like, whenever
okay.
it just comes out naturally, and it's just, and you go to sleep.
Yeah. My brain, like I'm good for nothing. And I'm like, all I can do is just like not rest, but just like not, I can't like the creative part is just like that's like a either super late at night, like 10 and after that, or like in the morning, which is typically like 5, 6, whatever AM to like 12. After that, I'm just like in the world.
Love that. So do you personally have a favorite poet?
Favorite poets?
Or even because I know you said
Yeah.
you listen to a lot of music.
I
That's
was gonna say, yeah, some of my favorite poets are like Tupac, Lauryn Hill, Nipsey Hussle, Kendrick Lamar, Erykah Badu, Common, Bob Marley, Stevie Wonder, like musicians, you know
yeah.
what I mean? These are the people who inspire me so much. Nina Simone, but also like traditional poets as well. Like, I love Maya Angelou. She's very inspiring to me, and other writers as well. James Baldwin, like a huge inspiration. I find that his prose are very poetic.
They are, yeah.
And in a very similar way. Like, I still got a long way to go before I ever compare myself to James Baldwin. That man was something else, but definitely an inspiration, definitely a poet. Whether we classify it as poetry or not, he was just so prolific. Toni Morrison, I think some of her prose are very poetic as well. Yeah, but definitely when it comes to the poets that inspire me,
Yeah.
I would say it's the musicians, because again, it's like the rhythms that I hear in the words are what resonate so deeply.
Yeah. And that really changes the way people write too, as far
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to like a traditional poet, somebody
Exactly.
writing to music or to sound, or writing
Yeah.
words that are like meant to be spoken. It changes and it informs the way that you write. I think
Yeah.
that's
I
really,
hope that said, I hope whoever reads my book, like at the very least, I hope they read the poems out loud.
yeah. Let's get
No, that the poems are meant to be read out loud. You could read the prose in your head, but that might be fire to read out loud too. But at least read the poems out loud.
Absolutely. I co-sign that because as I was editing, I actually printed the entire book out and I read the entire thing out loud in my apartment. And it really like the poetry is good in reading, but
Yeah.
speaking it, honestly, there were portions that truly brought me to tears because
Mm,
like the words, it just feel the words take on a different meaning when you
exactly.
the one speaking them, even if you wrote them as the reader speaking it
Yeah.
out loud, it just brings them to life in a different way. So definitely, if you're watching this, read the poems out loud.
Comes out loud.
Yes. And from the poets that you listed, do you have like a favorite line of poetry that you just kind of go back to that just kind of like invigorates you?
Dang. Um, I don't know. The first thing I heard in my head was "I love when they count me out," which is off of Kendrick Lamar's newest album, Mr. Morale and the Big
Yeah.
Stepper. It's probably not the number one thing. Like if I had a moment to like just kind of really think about it, it'd probably be something else. But I think I was listening to that this morning, and as far as like being invigorated,
Yeah.
like that's something that just like sparks me because the whole song is just like, I love when they count me out. I love when they count me out. Like I've been the underdog all my life. All my life. Like they've been sleeping on me all my life. Like I said, getting an agent, getting someone to find value in what I do, moving to New York and facing rejection from agency after agency. Like I've been counted out all my life, but God is counting me in, like, you know what I mean? When it comes to like when it really matters and when I'm really being accounted for, um, I'm number one. I'm number one. So I love when they count me out because it's like I'm just gonna go even harder. And I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I'm performing for an audience of one, and that is the divine, and also for my ancestors. So a few more. But yeah, it just sparks me because I'm just like, yeah, y'all could count me out, but at the end of the day, the impact is gonna be made.
Absolutely. I love that. That's another perfect transition. So before I let you go today, Ebony, we can't let you leave here without hearing some of this beautiful work. Can you tell us a little bit about the piece that you've chosen to read to us today before you jump in?
Yeah, so the piece that I've chosen to read today, this is a piece that I channeled when I was in Joshua Tree. Um, and it really has a lot to do with my connection to the land, my connection to my ancestors, and just like the feminine lineage from which we all come from, right? Like the earth is feminine. We're all a part of this thing. It's the ecosystem that supports us. And historically, for centuries, that feminine energy has been intentionally like dismantled and oppressed. And so when I channeled this, it was like, I'm speaking about the ways that I've faced oppression in my lifetime. I'm speaking about the ways that my mom has faced oppression in her lifetime. I'm speaking about the ways that the African continent, the motherland, has been oppressed and stolen from. I'm talking about the earth, and what I realized on this journey of awakening is like everything that's been done to the land has been done to our bodies, and vice versa. We've been stolen from. We've been pillaged. You know what I mean? We've been robbed from. Like our children have been taken from us. There's just so much that has been done to us, and reflected in the way that we treat the earth, and it's because of that suppression of the feminine energy. And I just recognize that in order for us to ascend into the next dimension of who we're meant to be as human beings, we have to reintegrate that energy and the respect of that energy back into our consciousness. And so that's what this poem is about. It's like our healing isn't separate from the healing of the earth, and the earth's healing isn't separate from the healing of our bodies. It's something that has to be done together, and it's something that will be done through uplifting the feminine energy. So it's called She Is Coming.
Do it.
Yeah, I should. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm
Swirl.
excited. I'm excited. Okay. I wonder if trees watch the moon and know when to ask for fruit. Do they long for June when January makes a mockery of last season's creations? Or do they know that January is preparing them for something greater? Do they understand cycles? Because if I did, instead of holding on, I might just let go. I might live in the present because although I don't fear the future, I'm aware of its ebb and flow. But I wouldn't cherish one over the other. I know they're both necessary, like stub toes teach us as children not to cut corners. We don't always listen, but the signs are always there. I wonder if as a child I knew my pain was preparing me for more. I never let it swallow me whole, not the same way it swallowed everyone around me, my mother, my sister, my friends, my community. I became a cavity in the mouth of the beast because I stayed too sweet. Like the day I was born, my grandma used to call me a little chocolate drop, and maybe that's what she means. She was always clairvoyant, and that's how I learned to see. Maybe her words were prophecy. I was here to rot the system, the dentures that clench down on centuries of women, preventing them from knowing the truth in this dimension. We rule, and the wisdom comes from the womb we've been given. Our connection to God has been pillaged like the land we descend from. Who is defending the land I descend from? Deafening screams, deferred dreams, diluted streams, so apparently no one. Sold to the highest bidder, don't ask me why I'm bitter. I've tasted bloody rivers, wounds stung by salt water when human cargo gets delivered. I've had my womb raided, my children taken, and my body drilled in. Build a skyscraper, but burn down the village. Love the oil, but hate human of the same pigment. Bottom of the ship, not a single pot to piss in. Rob the land of its riches and paint depictions of sickness. Breastfed liquid gold, whole world latch on to my titty. Such a pity, let me die in labors to use my sons to bid their cities. Private prisons, electoral committees. Auction block of courtrooms, souls bought and sold for pennies. Parasitic bloodsuckers, sadistic motherfuckers, and genocidal gun lovers invading territory we hold sacred. Our grandmother's psyche's holding enough secrets to sink spaceships. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. They say the kitchen is where the nape is. And it's probably because these crops fed a whole nation. My cornrow, my Cajun, still got brothers caged in. My caviar, my black skin, 31 flavors to bask in. Robbing women of second chances, turn a mattress into a casket. Who is defending the land I descend from? Deafening screams, deferred dreams, diluted streams, so apparently no one. Sold to the loneliest sinner, my heartbeat, my center, broke me every time they'd enter. Worth her weight in gold, my mother's body was dismembered. Watch her give pieces to men like oaks give leaves to the ground in September. I'd break up every one for her just to remember. Though every axe that left limb splintered, remember, she is my timber and I am the sweet fruit brought to fruition through friction, rain, sunshine, and resilience. My pit will be the legacy and the proof of my healing. Achilles' tendon shackled feet, my soul cries out for centuries of the feminine. Indigenous rhythms silence my systems, scales of justice more poisonous than rattlesnake venom. Since infancy we're given substandard living, subverted narratives and subsequent syndromes, food in the fridge and heat where we're living, and lights for the children are brought to you by nights at the Hilton and tears that were hidden, patterns of detachment and subjugated feelings, shame that you live with, ignoring all the whispers, Sunday morning baptisms and conjugal kisses, Sabres salon trips and abortion clinic visits, rest never given, rest never given. Who is defending the land I descend from? Deafening screams, deferred dreams, diluted streams, so apparently no one. Sold colonial dreams, so it seems they not for me. 400 years of sowing seeds, harvest season, this time I reap. Say a prayer, lay them down to sleep, take up arms, don't forget crown and feet. That's God body. They're designed to destroy, but forgot about the God in me. Voice like alchemy, tongue like sword, slice through fallacy, ready the blade, machete swings. Who is defending the land I descend from? Am I the only one aware of the truth or the only one not pretending? Many moons, many women, many children, there are coming. I can feel them. The hurricanes, the flood, the buzz and the bees, the earthquakes, the droughts, the famine and disease. Out of darkness, born light embodied. She is coming and she is me.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Thank you so much, Ebonee.
Thank you.
That was gorgeous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being our very first author spotlight in Poetry Tea Time with Read Poetry.
Yes.
We're so excited for Daughter to be out into the world. It goes on sale next Tuesday, October 10th.
10/10.
10-10, 2023. Do you want to, is there anything you'd like to leave us with before we wrap up here?
I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the whole process. I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much for being such a guiding light on this journey, pouring into me, giving me all the feedback, really helping me to craft this. It wouldn't be what it was without you. I'm grateful for everybody else who is a part of the process, and I'm grateful for everybody who will support it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Grateful to God
you.
as well and my
We are
ancestors.
grateful always. Well, thank you so much, Ebony.